So now that we have set up the second section of our website, so as we go back here, now you can see we have the header that we've changed. We have the first section here. So a lot of Geek Herring going on, a lot of geek, in case someone didn't notice. And as we scroll down below, we have the first section with our then to be podcast episode show notes. But now when we look at the wireframe that I made and didn't save, we're starting to add another section that talks a bit about our why, our what, and our, let me see what I wrote there, and our who. And for that, the same thing applies. So we go back to the dashboard now, and back to the pages, and back to the home page. That's not a front page. And we click on edit. And in case what I'm going to show you now is just, I really like to do it in this view just because I'm not the biggest fan of the Divi Visual Builder, but I'm still going to show you that one today because it's probably helpful for everyone who's not very techy to do that, because it's, as it says, more visual. When you open it for the first time, you can take a tour. I will skip that for now and I will start building. I'm not sure if it even asks you, I think probably every time. So you can have it like this, where you start to see that there are the module settings when you hover over the module. Because since this is a full screen module, that's why it's purple. Yes. That's the only thing that's there. So that's the full width section, and that's the only module in the full screen section. But if you scroll further down, you see that there's a blue one, and there we have more than one module. So blue is always the section. Is it though? Yes, section. Green is the row, and the gray is the modules. What Beate from Virtual Birdie just recently told me is that I can zoom out of this, which is pretty awesome, because I always personally, I've never done this because I'm not working in the builder much, and I've really never enjoyed it that when I click on the settings, it's all on top of it, and I wasn't really a fan of this. So when you zoom out with Command minus or Control minus on a PC, so Command minus on a Mac and Control minus on a PC, it just, you have a smaller view of your website, and all the other things, they can still be here, but not as annoying. And I mean, I know that that's technically also a way, but I kind of always never really enjoyed it. Whatever. So you can do that. Pop it out again. Or you can do it once more, and then you get to the similar view as in the other. That's like you get the similar view than the other thing, like that when you're not in the builder, which apparently will be discontinued. Like not this one, but the previous view. Anyway, whatever, too much rambling. So what I'm doing now is I'm scrolling here, and you can see, first of all, that was no plus, right? You know, that was no plus. You can see here, when you hover over it, all the modules. What I want to do now is add a section, and for that you have to click the plus button here, and you can choose whatever you want to choose. So speciality, we haven't used that yet. I'm just going to click here. So that's something where you can technically add the sidebar or two sidebars, or that's going to stay the same. And it's like across more modules, and that's not really something that you do otherwise with the modules. So you have the columns, but not really as it would be here. So that's the special section, speciality section, but I'm going to choose a regular one here. And as I stated, I want to have this what, who, why, what, and how, who, and that's why I again use the three columns area. And as I stated here, I want to have an icon or an image at the top, and then text at the bottom. And for that, what I like to use is the blurb module, because what the blurb module does is give you the option to have an icon here or use an image here. For that time being, I'm going to use an icon just because I don't really have an image prepared, but that's something I could do later on. So as you see, even though my screen is huge, I really don't like it that much. That's why I'm going to zoom out, because it gives me a bit of a bigger overview. So what makes sense for the why question mark, right? So that's why I'm using the question mark now. Does it? Yeah. I potentially I'm going to make my own icons. There are a few plugins that will let you use the icons from material, from Awesome Font Awesome, yeah. And so those are like also icons, but it's technically a font, and there are a bit different ones and other ones. And from material design icons. So there is a plugin. I have it on one of my pages, but I don't recall what it's called. I invested in it just because I wanted to have more icons, and because I'm probably kind of stupid to use the icons instead of images, but whatever. There are plugins that can enhance what is there. Those are from Elegant Themes, so those are the inbuilt ones. So yeah, using that one here, and if you go over to design, you can change the color of the icon. You can make a circle around it. So in that case, I would have the question mark be white and the circle color be red. But what I don't want to have right now is have this section white. So I want it to be separate. Like I want it to be in a separate color, either a separate color, or I'm going to add an image here and use this as an overlay. So that's the red is very often very much in your face, so I'm not going to technically use the red for like two big areas, because otherwise blind. But what I'm potentially going to do is find a stock image that goes well in the background, that gives it a bit of a structure, and for that I'm going to unsplash, because those I like. They're like fancy images. They're free images, free for personal use. They have the CC0 license. CC0? I think that's it. And I'm going to look for geek, because I want it to be something geeky. Oh, I kind of really like the mushroom thing. I think that potentially will still go well. You see, only guys. I mean, not only guys, but a lot of guys. Oh, a girl, yes. I probably am looking for a darker one, even though I'm gonna make a black overlay, but it's still like a bit more problematic when there's a lot of white. C3PO. CP3O? No. That's wrong, people. C3PO, right? Yeah. Seriously. C3PO. People. Whatever. Got distracted here. Spider-Man. Maybe Leia, Deadpool. Oh, there are new geek ones. I love it. Deadpool. Donkey Kong, maybe. I think I'm gonna use the shroom. Toad. Download that one. Geeky shots. Going to open that one just in case. So, whoop, that's big again. Using that and adding over. Okay, I have to fit it to my screen so that I can work on it. Probably black, and then work on the just so I need to bear in mind that the copy on it needs to be white, so it still needs to be readable. So if it's too bright, then I would potentially not be able to read it, but I could check it out here. Me. Sometimes it takes a bit of time because old computer is old. Hello. Okay. I want this to be white just to test it out. Come on. Wow, we're gonna chillax a bit here. No, I don't want. No. Ignore that request. Happens sometimes because I have my fonts in a separate font explorer. Doesn't really matter. So if we make it small, give it 20. Oh, that's maybe a bit too small. But okay, that still works. And in case I can still work a bit with it. With an overlay and have like a black overlay or something. But what I also need is that's way too high because I just want this to be a small section, and I just need to make sure somehow it will always adjust according to however wide your screen is. So if you have a very big screen, obviously the image in the back is going to be way bigger. But that's why I'm making it smaller now, but I can always adjust it later. So that's too big for my taste. Like 2000. If it scales a bit, it's still okay. You always want to make sure that the size of the images are small enough while still looking okay and not be super pixely. So for example, if you switch the quality of the image, then it does weird stuff here. So I'm keeping it with 80 because 62 kilobytes is still a very good and a very small picture. So going back to Geek Herring, Toad, and going back to the website, back to my section, and instead of the very nice blue background that I chose here, I am going to upload the image. Well, choosing Toad because who doesn't love Toad? Toad is a cutie. Upload that one, and as you see here, that's already something I can work with, like I like. So now so that if I use the green one, I would work on the line, like on the row, but I want to adjust this. I didn't want to copy it, which I did just now, so I'm going to delete that row, but I want to adjust the module because I want the text to be white. So I go to the module setting of the blurb. As you see, you can adjust the image style here. You can even say if it should have a border. I'm making that white now, just because. You can say if you want the blurb or the image or whatever to be on the top or on the left side. I want it to be at the top. You can change the size of the icon by changing the font size, for example. So use font size and then change the size of the thing. So here we go to the text now, because that's supposedly that one. I'm going to center it, makes more sense, and I'm going to use light text because it's black in the back, right? Does make sense. You can, if you feel like it, play around with shadow and stuff. For that, I have to zoom in a bit more, just because you probably won't be able to see it. That does make sense if you realize that maybe it's too light in the back. If that tone would be too light and you can't see the white on the white, then I sometimes like to work with a bit of a shadow just to make it more readable in the end. Moving that over here. Go to title. Font is all the same. Weight, whatever I want. I can make it capitalized, but I will use a different color instead of white. You can also work on the sizes, but I'm not going to do that now. Then the body text is what's below here, so you can change whatever you want to change here again, like separately. If you want this to be aligned differently, then you can do that. And general sizing. So as you can see, you can change the width here, you can change the content width, but we just leave that as it is for now. And the spacing is all around the blurb. So margin is outside, so everything that you add here is packed into a separate box, right? So if you have the box here, the margin is what's outside of the box. I hope my gestures are helping. And padding is what's inside of the box. So it's the spacing from the border to the inside. Let me give it a border so I can show you. Pretty good at doing that, people. Pretty good. Make it white. Why am I not visible, my friend? Oh, because I didn't. Okay, that's border width, right? So now the padding, the spacing would be, the margin is outside. So if I make it 20, you see that there it changed something outside of this border box at the top. I'm removing that. And if I do the padding, it's inside. So I just make it on on all four sides. So 20. And on all sides. That's very often the case. So all the rows and the modules and the sections have a standard padding and standard width. So they don't come with zero width and zero, they don't come with zero spacing. So if you want something to be aligned like directly where the cut is or where the section is, you have to go in and change the entire spacing from the section, from the row, and from the module to 0, so that it then actually, so let me show you this right now. So if I want this to start where the section actually starts, like the visible section starts, that makes sense if you add images, for example, that should stop like right here, right? You need all of this to be 0. I mean, probably not the padding, because we still want some padding, right? So make all of this 0, but you see left and right's not important right now, but still doing it now. There is not much happening, so it doesn't attach here. So what we do now is go to the row, and if you hover over it, you can actually see it. So there is still this little green thing is the padding, right? So we can move that up if you do it in the builder, and you can move that up. So that's also the padding. And if you hover over it, you see that it's the standard appears to be 54, or maybe it depends on how small it is. Does it? No, not really. But apparently the standard margin, padding, whatever, is 54. If you click on it twice, it will open the section settings. You can go to design, click on spacing. That's a custom padding. I'm removing that, and I'm going, for example, 0 padding at the bottom. So you already see that the section already is way less, but there is still something left. So you have to work your way. If you want to reduce the padding and get rid of it, you have to work your way from the section to the row to the module to then really have 0 padding if that's what you want. It's not really necessary in my case right now. That's why I go back to the row also and remove all of that, just because not necessary. Also, if you have a row, you also can adjust the padding for each column. So yeah, but here I'm going to remove the border now, because me no likey border here was just for visual purposes. Get rid of that one, get rid of that, and I don't need the other border with this gone because that's also gone. Yeah, and when I would suggest always, yes, toggle, I'm not tracking my time. I would suggest if you go for it here, create one module that you like visually, and then copy it over if you want the same thing just with a different copy, because otherwise you have to like create this again and then change it here again and then change it here again. So make one as you prefer, as you want, and then copy it over to the other rows. So I'm not going to do that now, just because, yeah, that's how I'll work my way forward. Oh, I really like that tool here, I have to admit. So you can load items from the library here at the bottom. And if you load items from the library, there are also pre-made layouts from Divi, because that's why Divi is pretty cool. You can look through them. They have, and if you're not very good at creating stuff on your own, you can start out with something like this and then adjust it to whatever it is that you need. And they have pretty fancy things happening here already, so that's pretty awesome. But also if you have something like, if you create your show notes template and then you can save your layouts, there's nothing here, but you can import them then if you have saved them already. Here is, you can save that one to the library. I'm not doing that because not as fancy. You can clear the layout, not gonna do that. That's just closing that menu here, opening it up again. You can switch here also between the wireframe view and zooming in and out in that case, or have the desktop view, have a tablet view. That's, I wouldn't always trust Divi's own tablet view thing. And here's the phone view. So that makes me think if it might be better to actually have 4 show notes instead of 3 here. But I can think about this because on tablet it's kind of weird to have it like this. But yeah, going back to the desktop mode, here are some settings. So that's the title of the homepage, like what's written here at the top. Obviously home is a bad idea. Featured image, that's also, if it's not in use, then this is something that search engines go to create your preview image for Facebook, for example. And you can do split testing with Divi. That's pretty cool if you don't have another landing page builder and want to actually use Divi to create your landing pages, which I would always suggest. You can change the color palette here. Not going to do that. Spacing. So the gutter width is the width between the columns, for example. So if you reduce that, you can see that you can like have them touch each other. But I'm keeping it the standard width right here. But you can always adjust it in every row, but you can also adjust it generally for all of for an entire page. Yeah, and custom CSS and performance, how you're gonna do that. Yoshi's yawning besides me, so that means I'm probably going to end this here, because copy. What you always need is proper copy in order to get this all set up. And I will look for better icons that I can use that are a bit more on brand with the geeky thing, but I have to figure those out still. So yeah, that's one way that you can go. And we created the second section, and in 5 years we eventually would have created an entire website, right? So when you're done with it, you click on save here at the right hand side, and then wait until it's technically saved. Then you can exit the visual builder here at the top, and it will be redirected to the page, and you can scroll down and you see, oh, here is the toad. I really like the toad here. Sorry for being so excited about it. I think sorry, that's yawning Yoshi. So yeah, third section in 3 weeks. But we're getting there. That's why websites are a lot of work, because you have to do a lot of thinking, and also always a bit of adjusting, right? So let me just say goodbye. Hop, hop, hop. We're saying goodbye now. And see you next week.